Hello and welcome to this very special edition of No Spin. I'm Nidhi Razdan. He is without a doubt Indian cinema's most influential figure, and today as he turns 80, this is our tribute to the one and only Amitabh Bachchan. For more than 50 years, Amitabh Bachchan has enthralled audiences, whether it was as the angry young man or more sensitive characters. He even had a terrific flair for comedy. He still does. He was the unlikely hero when he started, tall, lanky, not exactly the conventional chocolate boy of Bollywood, which is why many say his first few films were actually flops, and many in the film industry had written him off. But then it all changed. At a time when most stars were playing romantic leads like the iconic Rajesh Khanna, Amitabh Bachchan's Angry Young Man, which began with Zanjeer in 1973, tapped into something the country had never seen before. This was unlike any other leading man at the time. Amitabh's characters were brash, fearless, passionate, angry, all at the same time. Characters that writers like Javed Akhtar and Salim Khan brought to life as they revolutionized the film industry through films like Zanjeer, Diwar, Dawn, and of course the cult classic Sholay. As he lurched from one super hit to the next, Amitabh Bachchan, however, learnt the hard way that what goes up must come down. And so he became the master of reinvention. When his films weren't doing so well in the 90s, he became a TV star instead, and then eventually found his way back onto big success on the silver screen. Well, joining us on the program tonight, first is Ramesh Sippy, the director of the legendary film Sholay, one of Amitabh Bachchan's super hit films. Mr. Sippy, thank you so much for joining us on NDTV. Let me begin by asking you that as Amitabh Bachchan turns 80 today, how would you sum up what he means to Indian cinema?
To be honest, can you ever sum up Mr. Amitabh Bachchan in a few words, in a few lines? It's impossible. He has so much. He has done so much, and he continues to do it. Now he is into his 80th year, and he's still doing it all. So he's on a health show. He's doing a variety of things. How can you put him together in one a small little bit? It's very, very difficult.
Well, of course, you directed him in Sholay, and I believe there's quite an interesting story about how you decided to cast him for this role.
Well, we had the rest of the cast was already in, but at that time with Danny Donzonka and as Gabbar, and we are looking for the final star to be slotted in, the actor to be slotted in. And I was a bit insistent, let's not take another star because we'll have problems with dates, handling egos and all that. And Salim Javed said that there is this young actor who's doing really well. We would recommend him very highly. Please have a look. And I thought back, I said, there's no need to look. He's done Anand, and he's done Bombay to Goa, a light role against a very serious role. So he's got it all, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So why not? Yes. So, and we went for it, just like that. The whole industry was against it. Please don't take this Lambu. We had a party, and people were saying, Lambu ji ko mat lena. They said it from a point of view, he's bad luck. So a lot of his films had failed. But I remember Salim Javed saying this, that he's really working well. And I remember the visuals and feel I had of Mr. Bachchan in those two films. I said, okay, let's go. And what a lovely decision. What a wonderful decision that was.
Well, there were other towering actors at the time. Clearly, your casting of Sholay proves that. You had Dharmender and you had Rajesh Khanna. But what was it that made Amitabh Bachchan stand out?
Well, I worked with Mr. Khanna in a small guest appearance in Andaz, where he was on the motorbike with Emaji, and then a very short role, but a very, very vibrant role, and it stood out. But casting him in this role didn't seem to be the right casting. Somehow I felt he wouldn't fit into this as well. And I don't know, when you look back, you can't think of anybody that could have been better. It wasn't done with such precision that this is tailor-made for him or anything like that. But it turned out to be so. And the rest is history. His achievements in the line are such that how do you look back on something like this and say, oh, you made a... At that time, we did it. He was a good actor and we had to have somebody in at the last minute. We needed somebody and he was there and we were very happy to have him.
Well, does anyone, you think, come close to Amitabh Bachchan today? I mean, I know we have amazing stars and actors like Shah Rukh Khan and Amir Khan, but no one is an Amitabh Bachchan, are they?
There are a lot of wonderful actors, yes, and undoubtedly they have done great work as well. But I think Mr. Bachchan towers over everyone, not just by his height, but all his performances, all his work, his rich baritone voice that resonates. It's how do you beat that? And then he does all these other things. He goes on to the Kaun Banega Crorepati, and he does it so well. And that's been going on for more than 20 years, 22 years now. So this is, it's quite unbelievable in the longevity. When he changed sides and went into the more mature roles, he just struck off from the very first Mohabbatein. I mean, it was a delightful to see him in that mature role, and he fitted it so well. He did not try to be the young guy, and he was what he was, and he played it so beautifully.
Well, Ramesh Sippy, thank you very much for joining us. Ramesh Sippy there, the director of the iconic film Sholay, which of course was one of Amitabh Bachchan's big hits, one of the biggest hits of Indian cinema. Certainly, Mr. Sippy, thanks very much for being with us. Well, one of Amitabh Bachchan's co-stars and someone who actually saw his rise to stardom from a struggling actor to the big star that he eventually became in the 1970s is Sharmila Tagore, and she joins us on NDTV now. Sharmila ji, so great to have you after a very long time on the channel. What was it like to be Amitabh Bachchan's co-star and to work with him on set?
You know, it was really wonderful. Because those days, you could only suggest a time to your co-actor, you know, whether it was Sanjeev Kumar or Rajesh Khanna or Dharmendra or whoever. And the shooting time was from 9 to 6 or 9:30 to 6:30. But no hero would turn up on set before 11:30, even 12 if it was Haribhai, Sanjeev Kumar. But Amitabh and Shashi Kapoor were the only two people who arrived on set on time, which was really lovely because you could finish your work at 6 o'clock or 6:30 and go home. So, yeah, that was one thing, that he was punctual and he came totally prepared. Like, you know, there was no sort of learning lines on the set or delay because of him, you know. So it was a pleasure to work with him. And another thing, he wouldn't interfere with your work. He would sit in those double chairs that he had because of his long legs. So he would sit there, and if the director was telling me something or I was doing something, he wouldn't be concerned. He would be reading a magazine or something, and he would give his shot. Not like others, bhai, aap aise kyun nahi kar sakte ho, Sharmila ji ko aise bolo, you know. So that wasn't. He didn't interfere. And his punctuality, I just loved it because, you know, managing home and work, it meant a lot to me.
So how was he different to work with from, say, a Rajesh Khanna with whom you worked with a lot at that time?
All the actors were different. Everybody's, you know, personality was different, and that's why they were, you know, such a diverse kind of. But he was quiet. He was not chatty. Like on the set, he wouldn't go chat, you know, that is very distracting. You do that after the backup. So I think that was another point about him. Actually, all my actors, my co-actors have been very, you know, wonderful to work with. But Amit's punctuality, his not interfering with the co-star's performance. I mean, these things stand out, and he would listen to the director and just generally be very quiet on the set so that everybody else could get along. Although his huge presence was there, I mean, once he became Amitabh Bachchan, but he didn't interfere with anybody's work. He kept himself to himself.
Of course, one of your most iconic films together was Chupke Chupke.
Okay. Absolutely. Everybody loves it. Although he and I are not together. I'm with Dharam and he's with Jaya. But we have a couple of scenes together. And he was so good in a comic role, sort of pushing his glasses up. And Virud was also very good. I think we had a few scenes that were very nicely captured. Yes.
Well, what was it, in your view, about Amitabh Bachchan in the 1970s and 80s that catapulted him to such stardom? He wasn't just the angry young man, and you actually saw his transition into the big league.
I've seen him right from the beginning. Yeah. Like when he just was trying to get into films, and he was very friendly with Mehmood's brother, and they were doing things together. I remember a particular day in CCI. We were all there. I think it was a fundraiser of sorts. And they were comparing the show. And he came to me and I was very nervous about Hindi. So, he was telling me, do it like this, do it like that. So he was so passionate. And then later, of course, he worked. And initially, his films were not doing terribly well. And then, again, he became that angry young man, as you're saying. And, he became very, very popular. And then he had that terrible accident, in Coolie, where he almost lost his life. He fought for his life. He came back. There was a slump. And then he came up again. And again, then after this ABCL, the production house wasn't doing well. So there was a bad patch there. And then came Kaun Banega Crorepati. And then he came inside our homes. And I remember there was my mother-in-law, Tiger, I, the children, the staff members. We were all, and those days we didn't have so many television sets, but though there were a few, but, all of us watching together and loving it. So it was speaking to each of us, like, my age group. So he had something to say. And I think what really connected him to the people, because he could speak both to Bharat and to India. Now English has become the, norm. But so I think his upbringing, his exposure to both the worlds and his passion and his musicality, because he's fond of music and of course the gadgets also. So he has that ear for accent and he observes and he absorbs and he has the pulse of the time, so he can reinvent himself. And of course, he's got this sartorial, fancy look. So he wears this very colorful shirt that he always has. So I think, I really don't know why he's become so, like as in this status of his, but he has over the years, and behind it is hard work and commitment, because without that you can't be where he is now. And he has talked to all the generations and all the languages, and it's like pan-Indian image and following that he has.
Well, since you saw him from the beginning, did you think that he would become such a big star?
Because his first few films did not do well. And Jaya was far more famous than Amitabh. He used to play the sitar and we were friends also. We used to meet socially. But he's hung in there. And when the moment came, he was prepared for it and he delivered. So yes, initially people were not accepting him and Jaya was far more famous. But I think Zanjeer was it, or when that angry young man look came, and then he just overtook everybody, and it was just fantastic.
Sharmila Tagore, thanks very much for joining us on NDTV today. Thank you.
Thank you. And can I just wish him
Please do.
many, many happy returns of the day, Amit. It's a very special day and many more to come. I wish you all the best.
Well, joining us now is Javed Akhtar, the screenwriter responsible for Amitabh Bachchan's superstardom, along with Salim Khan. Salim Javed, as they were called, were responsible for a string of Amitabh Bachchan hits in the 1970s, films like Zanjeer, Diwar, Dawn, and of course Sholay. It's interesting that, his stardom began with Zanjeer, a film that you co-wrote with Salim Saab, but he wasn't the first choice for Zanjeer, was he?
Actually, he was the last choice. When we had written the script, we were quite convinced that the right actor for this role is Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. But, in film industry, you are as good as your last film. Yes. So, that is why he was what you say, not viable. And our producer, director, Mr. Prakash Mehra, contacted almost all viable stars, but fortunately none of them agreed to play this role. They refused the film. And hats off to Prakash Mehra that he stuck to the script, and he, although all the big stars and saleable stars refused the script in the film, he decided to take Amitabh Bachchan under insistence. But I think he should be appreciated because he put his money where his mouth was, and that is how it happened. So not only that he was not the first choice, he was actually last choice.
Oh, that's quite interesting that he was the last choice for Zanjeer. But what was it about the angry young man persona that, was a thread through many of the films that you wrote for him? That appealed to audiences? Was it the times that we were living in the 1970s? What was it?
We were not aware of any kind of socio-political relevance of this script. We enjoyed writing this story, and we enjoyed writing this particular character. And I'm happy that we were unaware. And these scripts were not written for Amitabh Bachchan. They were just written because that was the time when he had just joined the club, and I remember whether Zanjeer or Diwar or Sholay, it was an up task to be But the moment Zanjeer released, things become easier. With Diwar and Sholay, obviously he was much further from the number one. He was from 1 to 10, he was the star. But before that, it was really tough because people were not convinced that he can be a commercially viable star. In spite of the fact that, I don't know why they could see that here is a volcano of talent. His films were bad, the direction was bad, the scripts were bad. But even his worst film, if you see him, which was in the beginning, his work was impeccable.
Well, but Javed Saab, coming to Sholay though, you had such a big star cast in Sholay, and Ramesh Sippy was telling us, how they were actually looking for not a big star, you already had Dharminder and others. So that's why he turned to Amitabh Bachchan at the time, although, people told him don't get this lambu, it might not be so good for the film. What do you think Amitabh Bachchan brought to that movie? Did he actually exceed even your expectations in terms of how that character played out?
No, I'm in a no-win situation. If I say he exceeded my expectations, it means my expectations were not high enough. If I say he did not, then too it won't be accomplished. So you have put me in a no-win situation. The fact is that I was totally convinced, as convinced as I am convinced that I am talking to you, that this is an exceptionally great, usually mammoth talent. He never failed us. Never failed us. I mean, writers are very finicky people, and they always keep complaining. Dekho, I had written this scene with this intention, and the dialogue meant this, and the subtext of that line was that. The actor did not understand. But I have done perhaps 12 or 13 pictures with him. I have no such complaint even for one pause or one word.
Well, Javed Saab, it's a pleasure to talk to you on this big day. Thank you so much for coming and leading the tributes to Amitabh Bachchan today. Thank you very much. And joining us now, one of the filmmakers who's made some terrific films with Amitabh Bachchan like Chini Kam and Pa, director R. Balki joins us. Thanks very much, Mr. Balki, for being with us. You've had a close working association with Mr. Bachchan, and as a filmmaker, what is it about him that stands out the most?
Poker face, stand and deliver, power. I just think the only word I can sum it up is, we've all searched for a lot of words to describe him, but I can only describe it best saying the Amitabh Bachchanesqueness about Amitabh Bachchan. That's what I can describe him as. There is an Amitabh Bachchanesque attitude that that's almost become a new word in the dictionary. So it's like there's no other word to describe it.
I like the poker face. You made films with Mr. Bachchan at a very different phase in his career where he took on older roles like in Chini Kam, for example, which actually showcase what a brilliant, versatile actor he actually is.
Yeah, of course he's a brilliant actor and of course he's a great star. But I think what really sets him apart from everybody else is he never forgets to bring a bit of Amitabh Bachchan into each one of his characters. He doesn't dissolve into the character like a lot of other actors do, but he retains the stuff that most people want to see, that a bit of Bachchan in every character that he plays, including Pa. Even as a child, there was a bit of Bachchan in the child, and that is what I really love about it.
What is a bit of Bachchan exactly?
There is a bit of, he doesn't have to, he doesn't laugh while cracking a joke. He has that same face. When he wants to say something rude, he doesn't have to kind of, get into a rage. He just has this way of the sarcasm, the wit of his, and the basic ease of all emotions, and that's the grace that he brings into every emotion that he plays, that plays out in his characters.
But what's also incredible is how he managed to reinvent himself when he was down, when his own movies were not doing so well. I mean, he found success in television, or he chose to do different kinds of film roles.
See, I just believe that, there are a lot of theories about the comeback and the reinvention and the recreation of Amitabh Bachchan by himself. But I just believe that Bachchan was always Bachchan. He just took a break from being Bachchan. And just kind of came back as Bachchan with a little bit more grey hair. That's about it. So I don't think there's a big story in there. Of course, there's a show of resilience. There's a show of not giving up. But I think the biggest thing was not to lose the Bachchan in the break and come back as the Bachchan with a little bit more, like I say, grey hair.
Do you think that there's anyone today who comes even close to Amitabh Bachchan?
There are a lot of wonderful actors, there are a lot of very, very big stars, but Bachchan is a very rare phenomenon. I mean, I don't think we're all very lucky to be living in the era of Bachchan, because yesterday I was watching Amar Akbar Anthony in the cinemas, and you should just see, I mean, of course you will say the film is we'll all love the film, but there are portions of it you may feel today, hey, that can be faster, that need be, people laugh at some portions, which people actually felt very emotional at that point of time. But Bachchan, I mean, even if you just cut him out of that film and just put him, just modernize the film and edit it and do better sound for today's theatres, but you just keep Bachchan exactly the same, he'll be as cool today. He'll be the most modern actor that you'll see even today. So in the 70s, what he did is eternally cool, and it's like almost like has just lasted till now. And you don't have to change a thing about it. A lot of performances age with time, but his just remains eternally cool.
Well, everyone loves the angry young man, of course, but I actually thought he was very funny too, his comedy.
I love his sense of comedy, his sense of timing. I mean, Namarak Anthony is a great example. He's saying the most funny things without shaking his shoulder also. It's like, it's great. I mean, there's so much of grace and dignity in all the ridiculous things that he did in the film. They were so funny because of the way he pulled it off.
Our Balki, thanks so much for joining us. And that's it on the show tonight. Thanks for watching.